Okay, this video is going to be about 11.2, which is about the volume of prism and cylinders. Now, volume is the amount of space a solid takes up. Volume is measured in cubic units. So whatever the measurement you have to cube it. Now, the volume of a rectangular prism or a cylinder is the product of the area of the base and the height. So basically, as long as you're finding the volume of any prism, and that doesn't include just the rectangular prism, it can also include triangular prism and any other prisms. And as long as you're trying to find a prism and cylinder, then what you do to figure out its area, you're just basically doing base times it by the height. Okay. Now, one thing I want you guys to keep in mind though, with a prism, when you guys try to find the height here, the height is always the length or the height of the rectangular sides. Okay, keeping this in mind, let's just do a few questions for practice. Now, example 1 here says, what's the volume of the triangular prism? Now, the reason, first of all, it's called triangular prism is because my base here is actually a triangle. This is why it's called a triangular prism. So, I'm going to first figure out my area of my base first, and then do my base times it by my height. So, I'm going to take my base first. Well, my base here, by the way, guys, this is a little bit different from, remember the area of rectangle, area of rectangle when we say is base times height. Now, what you realize that here in my volume formula is the big base, the big B. What this means is that you're trying to find the area, of the base. This is what the big B means. So in order to find the big B or the base area, I'm going to first figure out what formula should I use for my base. Well, it says it's a triangular prism, so I need to use the area of a triangle for my base. So that formula is 1/2 base times height. Now, in this case here, it's a small base. It's talking about the side length right here. That's the small base we're talking to. So it'll be 1/2 times 6 times 10. 10 is my height. And now, if you calculate this, your big base right here will be 30 meters squared because it's the area, so it'll be 30 meters squared. So this means my big base right here is 30. Now, I need to find my height. Well, my height is always the length of the rectangular sides. Well, right here, this is the length of the rectangular sides. It's 5. So to find my volume here, I'll just do 30 times my height, which is 5. And therefore, my volume here will be 150 meters. And since we're doing volume, it will be cubic or cube. Okay. Moving on to question C, it says Jimmy has a swimming pool of the given dimensions. How much water is going to be needed to fill up the pool? Now, same thing right here. Now, since this is a rectangular prism, though, it does not matter which one we take it as the base, because for my heights, it does not matter when we have a rectangular prism what we take as the base, because in this one it does matter, because I cannot take this one as my height because it's not all rectangular sides. But in a rectangular prism, everything is rectangular, so I can take anything as my height. So in this case, in a rectangular prism, it doesn't matter what you take as base or what you take as your height. It does not matter. So with a rectangular prism, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is that you're just going to multiply all sides together. So it'll be 2 times 50 times 25. Okay? And if you want to imagine it with the base and height that we have in the formula, you can just imagine that the 2 times 50 is the base and height of my base, and then the 25 is my height. But like I said, in a rectangular prism, it does not matter. You're just multiplying everything all together. So with a rectangular prism, I will do 2 times 50 times 25, and my answer here will be 2,500 meters cubic or cube. Moving on to the next one. Now, example 2 here, we're going to do with cylinders. Now, the thing of a cylinder is that you're still doing, base times it by my height. Now, my base in this case is the area of my base. Now, if you look at a cylinder, my area of my base is going to be an area of a circle. So I have to use my circle formula, which is that A equals pi r squared. So my area here for my base will be, so my area for my base right here will be pi times my r, in this case will be 3 because that's my radius, square, and this will give us 9 pi. Then we have to multiply my base area by my height. My height here is going to be this one right here. So I'm going to do 9 pi times 8. And we're going to solve now. If you go ahead and put this into the calculator, 9 pi times 8, if you run it to the nearest whole number, your answer here will be 226. And since we're measuring centimeter, it'll be centimeter cubed. Okay, we're moving on to the next one. Now it says 2 glasses are filled to a level 2 centimeters below the rim with a delicious beverage, which just looks like just water right here. Which glass has more liquid in it? How much more? Round it to the nearest hundredths place. Now, in order to figure this out, we're still going to find the base and the height. I mean the big base and the height. So, in order to figure this out, I need to first figure out the area of its base right here. Okay, I need to figure out how much is this first. Now, let's try out formula for the circles, okay? So, for the first one, I'm going to write it in blue. Actually, do it in purple. My area of this first circle right here is going to be pi. And my r here, in this case, since my diameter is going to be 8, my r here is going to be 4 because it's going to be half of my diameter squared. This means my area of my first base is going to be 16 pi. Now I do my second one. Now the second one, I'm going to do it in the brown color. It's going to be a equals, well, I'm just still doing pi r squared. I do pi times my r here, which will be 3 because this is half of my diameter that I'm giving. So I'll do 3 squared. Now, if I go ahead and simplify this, this means my area of the skinnier water bottle, cup, will be 9 pi. Now, once I have my base for both of them, I need to multiply by the height. Now, here's the part I have to think a little bit. We're trying to figure out how much water is actually in it, but for each of these cups, we're 2 centimeters away from the rim. So my actual volume here will be 9 minus the 2. So my actual height of what I'm trying to find here is 7. And my actual height I'm trying to find on the other one right here will be 14 minus 2, and that will be 12. So my volume here will be 16. Oops, let me do it in purple. My volume here for my first shape will be volume equals 16 pi times 7. And for my other one right here, it will be volume equals 9 pi times 12. Now you just have to calculate which one is going to be the bigger number. So let's go and do it. So we do 16 times 7. This will give us 112 pi. On the other one right here, we have 9 times 12, and this is going to give us 108 pi. Now, which one is bigger? Well, it's going to be 112 pi, which means my answer to which glass has more liquid in it will be this first one right here. Okay. Now let's go over a principle right here, okay? If 2 figures have the same height and the same cross-section area and the same cross-sectional area at every level, then they have the same amount of volume. So basically what this means is that if you have a cylinder like this, a cylinder shape like this, and if you have another shape that's also a similar shape looking, but it's like a slanted cylinder, as long as if everything, all the length from here to here, it's the same as from here to here, and the height here from here to here is the same as from here to here, then these 2 figures will actually have the same exact volume. And this is what this question is saying. Now we will do more practice in class on this, and that's going to be all about the video.